Hey there, everyone. I'm Tre'vell, and today we're going to learn a little bit about gender. Here are the four areas that we'll cover: biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, and attraction. We'll be doing all of this using a great graphic created by Sam Killerman over at itspronouncedmetrosexual.com. It's known as the genderbread person. As Sam writes, gender is something that, everybody thinks that they know a lot about. In reality, they don't really know that much. Gender isn't binary. It's not either or. Rather, it's both and, a combination of a variety of spectrums. A little of this, a little of that. My hope is that after this video, you'll walk away with more information than you came. So, let's get started. As you can see here on our genderbread person, biological sex is located in the genitalia area, but it has a lot more to do with a physical type of thing other than genitals. It includes things like body shape, hormones, voice pitch, etc. It has to deal with the levels of one's maleness and femaleness because we both have varying levels of both. Yes, you heard that right. Here are a few examples of how people can chart themselves on this particular spectrum. Those who identify as having more maleness than femaleness may identify as male, whereas people with a more even distribution of both male and femaleness could be intersex. The amount of possibilities of this pairing, like everything else we'll discuss about today, varies. Now on to gender identity. Now, before we begin with gender identity, we must understand that gender is a social construct. What I mean by that is that gender has to deal with what society says men and women are supposed to do and how they are supposed to act. So, for example, men are supposed to be strong and the breadwinners and, the hard ones of the family, whereas women are supposed to be the nurturers, the caretakers. They're supposed to be dainty and soft and, all of that goodness. Now, gender identity, it involves how you, the individual, define your gender based on how much you align with or don't align with those boxes I just talked about. Now, again, you can identify anywhere on these two spectrums. For me, I would put myself here and call it gender fluid or gender nonconforming because for me, I do a little bit of both. Alright, so when we talk about gender expression, what we're talking about is how you present your gender through things like your actions or your dress. We're also talking about how society is going to interpret your gender based on those societal norms that we talked about earlier. So how masculine or how feminine you are. Take, for example, me. I shop in the men's and women's sections of stores, and my expression is a combination of both on a daily basis. What this means is that for me, I put myself very similarly to what we have here as the androgynous distinction. Some days you're going to get masculine, some days you're going to get feminine, and depending on how my gender expression intersects with my sex and my gender will depend on what that ultimately looks like. Lastly, we'll take care of attraction, which deals with your desire. It can be split into both sexual attraction and romantic attraction. Sexual attraction sounds just like what it is. It's how you define what types of people or what types of characteristics draw you to the people you want to have sex with. This can be men and or women, males and or females and or femininity and or masculinity, or it can be none of these. Romantic attraction, however, it kind of has the same parameters, but it involves what attracts you to form a relationship with somebody. It's not just the sexual component. All right, so there you have it. Now you have a good basis, a very 101 point of view in terms of what is gender. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you would like more information about gender, about sexuality, about the whole lot of things surrounding identity, there's a variety of resources you can reach out to. You can first head over to the creators of the genderbread person at itspronouncedmetrosexual.com, or you can go to organizations like the HRC or Lambda Legal, who also have resources to help you. It's been great. I'm Tre'vell Anderson, and thank you for joining me.